Hi, people on Zoom. Can y'all hear me now?
Working.
Okay. Thank you for coming this morning. I'm very happy that you're here. We have Natalie Bright. We'll be talking about co-authoring shortly. I have a few announcements. But I want to make sure you eat all the food back there. We're not leaving this room until that's all gone. So help yourselves. Otherwise, I'll take it home and I'll eat it, and that's the end of my diet. Okay, so let me get to our announcements. I'm KJ Waters. For those of you who are new, I'm our president this year. We have an amazing board, and we have a few new members that I want to introduce in a minute. But first, let me give you some upcoming dates. So, on Monday, we have our very first kickoff meeting for the critique groups. Something we've never done before, but we're about to start. I guess I'm not in the picture. Oh, yes, I am. Tiny. Sorry, I'm looking at the Zoom. Hi, Zoom land. So on Monday, this Monday at 7 p.m. right here in this very room, we're doing the critique group kickoff. I'm very sorry I had to postpone last week. Saturday, my husband got sick really quick, and I didn't know if it was flu or COVID, and then I started feeling a little gross, so I just switched it so I didn't spread germs. I'm fine now, so don't worry. But I think it's going to be a really good group. We have a bunch of people that are coming to it, and we'll make smaller groups for critique. So come out Monday night at 7 p.m. here. Our next meeting is May 14th. This week was a little different. We usually do the second Saturday of every month here at 10 a.m., but we had to switch it because our art festival is next weekend. So that's my next date, is the art festival, is the 9th and 10th of April, and that's at the Civic Center, and we will have a table there. Stop by. We have a couple raffles. Linda, our president-elect, is running some really cool raffles. If you've gotten our emails and they say bring your book, if you would like to donate your book or something else to a raffle, we're collecting those, and if you could just bring them up to this table, and Linda will be putting those together. Today is the deadline for that. And if you have questions, Linda's right here in this pretty little jacket, so come find her and ask her about it. She's got a great hat. Okay, so we have 3 new board members, and I would like those gentlemen to join me up here. Fallon, Wynn, and Steve. Where's Wynn? Oh, there he is. Steve? Okay. I'm going to let them introduce themselves real quick. Fallon, let's start with you. Fallon has volunteered to be our secretary, and I want you to tell just a little bit what your job is and then what you do in real life.
Sure. I'm going to slide in the camera. My name is Fallon Bennett. As secretary, I help organize all of our meeting minutes, our calendar, and make sure that we're capturing our votes and our different business for the board. In my real life, I'm a cybersecurity person, so I help companies stop bad guys. And closer. Got it. That's it. Win.
Wynn Green.
Hello, my name is Fallon Mimic, and the real Fallon Mimic, please stand up. Okay, my name is Wayne Green, and I'm not in cybersecurity, but I am your hospitality director. So, and by the way, here's my plug for the hospitality community support team. We're asking if there's anyone who would like to volunteer and help be a greeter for new people who come in. Please just sign your name here, your name, your telephone number, and the type of event you'd like to maybe help and assist, and we sure appreciate that. That way, as new people come in, we can welcome them, make them feel welcome. As a matter of fact, when I first arrived to my first meeting, there were so many people who came up and smiled, shook my hand, and bumped my fist. And I thought that's what we do here. And then from there, said, come join us and be a part of the group. And so if you feel like you'd like to do that, please join us. I think it would be a wonderful time to be able to make someone feel welcome. So what do? I'm a hospitality director everywhere I go. Okay. Currently right now, I came here because of work. I was the regional director for COVID-19 testing, and I decided out of all the cities in Texas, I decided to stay here in Lubbock. I love this town, love the people here, love your politics. That's all I'm going to say. That's enough. That's enough. But and what I do as far as writing, I write poetry. I also have written some songs over the past 40 years, and I came to Lubbock to see what none of my work published. And the bottom line is, because of Linda Brody, I'm here. So thank you. Thank you. Next.
I'm Steve Curry. I have been coerced into doing the anthology. I actually have anthology experience from the other side. I've been in anthologies, I've never actually corrected. Job-wise, I'm retired, I've been military, sold cars, head chef at some of the best restaurants around, respiratory therapy at some of the biggest hospitals in town. And now I'm retired and writing more urban fantasy and science fiction. But what I'm going to do for you is basically try and just take all this aggregate information we get on the anthologies and into something we can all be happy with and proud of.
Thank you for the warm welcome. And for the anthology, Steve and I are going to meet next week, and we have deadlines that were already set up, but we're going to just relook at those dates. We're still trying to get something out by just after the book festival in October. So the theme is never say never. That should be the first line of your book, if you've already, or your story. If you've already started to keep writing, we're going to keep that theme. I'm not going to mess you all up. If you haven't started, just wait for some more information coming out soon. It's a way to get published right away if you're a new writer or if you're an existing writer, to get your name on something and have it out in the world. So, and that gives me the very last date I forgot to mention is the Lubbock Book Festival is October 15th and 16th. If you go to literacylubbock.org, there's a place to sign up. For $40, you can get a booth. Filling up fast, so make sure if you're interested in selling your books at this event that you sign up. They'll be writing workshops and panels and all kinds of other good stuff for authors in addition to you being able to have a booth to sell your stuff. Okay, so Kim, would you like to update us on programs?
Ma'am. Good morning. I am Kim Hunt-Harris. I am the 2022 Program Chair. So before we introduce our program for today, I wanted to just give you a preview of what's coming up. In May, for our May meeting, we're going to have a bookseller panel. So it's going to be Wildlark Books, Burrowing Owl Bookstore from Canyon is going to be here. Star Comics from here in Lubbock is going to be here. And then I'm pretty sure Barnes & Noble is going to be here, but it's not confirmed. So we're going to just keep them as tentative. But anyway, they're going to talk about their stores and how you can work with them. And so come prepared to ask questions and make some connections there. I think we have a really cool, diverse bunch of sellers there that work with. So in June is Andy Wilkinson. Andy Wilkinson is a poet, songwriter, singer, playwright. He's written novels, he's written nonfiction books, he's written plays. He's written a one-man show called Charlie Goodnight's Last Night that was performed by Barry Corbin. He was artist in residence at Texas Tech, Southwest Collection, songwriting instructor at the School of Music. He's still with the university. He teaches the creative process in the Honors College. And that's what he's going to be talking to us about, is the creative process. So, authors and illustrators, this is perfect. In July, you guys might remember the last couple of years we took the month of August off, but this year we're going to switch that up. I'm going to take the month of July off, and we'll return in August. So no program in July, but in August we're going to have Sterling Cheney, who is an author and illustrator. And so finally we have some illustrators in here, and he's awesome. He's great. So be sure you come for that. In September, we have Jolene Navarro, who writes Harlequin Love Inspired and Harlequin Romance, and she teaches a workshop on how to use the 3-act, 8-sequence structure in movies, analyze movies, and kind of adopt those kind of beats for your plotting for your novels. And so it's going to be a great, it's going to be fantastic. And what else? Joey Thomas is going to be here in November. October, we're still kind of wondering what we're going to do. We're going to work around the book festival. And so that's still kind of up in the air, but we will have something, and it'll be great, as you can see. Yeah, we'll give some more details about that. November is Jody Thomas, who's always a fantastic speaker and so inspiring. And then, of course, December, we're going to do something wild and crazy. I don't know what, but it's going to be fun. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce Natalie. The writing team of Natalie Bright and Denise F. McAllister have published 6 books in 2021. 6 books in 1 year. And they just signed a contract for 3 more in a new series. The process was grueling. Natalie Bright will talk about the systems they used, what worked, what didn't, and best tips on working with another creative brain. Now, a little bit about Natalie. She is a Texas author, blogger, and speaker. Her stories and articles have appeared in numerous publications, including Chicken Soup for the Mothers of Preschoolers Soul, for which the race was chosen, about our toddler son who refused to eat anything but fish crackers. I'm sure we can all relate to that. A Cowboy's Life was selected for Appleseeds, a social studies magazine for kids, and her short fiction story, A Cowboy's Christmas Blessings, was published in a collection of holiday stories by Abilene Christian University Press called West Texas Christmas Stories. Most recently, she's the author of the Wild Cow Ranch series, which you see these beautiful covers up here, A Western Romance by CKN Wolfpack Publishing. She also wrote the Rescue Animal series of photo-illustrated easy readers for grades 3rd, and 4th. And her adventure chapter book series, Trouble in Texas, is for ages 8 to 10, set in the Texas frontier. Natalie grew up in the small town of Dimmitt, Texas, and holds a BBA from West Texas State University. Her husband is a petroleum geologist and cattle rancher, and they have 2 sons. She blogs every Friday at Prairie Purview about the people, places, and history of the Texas Panhandle. Will you please join me and welcome Natalie Bright.
All right, testing. They're right here. Can we give the light?
Yeah.
The screen. Thank you for having me in Lubbock. I grew up in Dimmitt, so I was in Lubbock a lot. Despite my parents knowing where I was. I was down on the square in Dimmitt. I wasn't. Okay, how's that? Everybody can see the screen? All right, thanks for having me. I want to talk a little bit about the age of creation and how we got an opportunity to do these books. And then I'm going to talk about our process at the end, because honestly, we actually used every process that you could possibly use to write a co-authoring project, because we changed our process with every book to be able to write faster and how we did it. So I brought you some pins, and I'm also a member of Western Writers American. I brought you some Roundup magazines. If you're interested, take a magazine. Okay, so we are in the age of creation. Because honestly, you don't have a gatekeeper anymore. If you have a craft, if you invent jewelry, if you do artwork, you can bypass the gatekeepers and the people who tell us what we want to read and what we want to buy. It is just an amazing time to be a content creator. And y'all know the statistics. Everybody is. This is what everybody's reading on right now. It's amazing. It's amazing how much content that the opportunities are out there. I recommend the book Authorpreneurs. We now live in a world that favors content creators over gatekeepers, isn't that? And it's fun. And so there are many paths as a writer. Y'all know some of them. The traditional publishing contract, the indie author, and I'm a hybrid because I have self-published some books, And I have also signed contracts for books. And then I'm bringing you another option is writing with a co-author, which there's good and bad about it. We'll talk about that. But one of the good things is just you have somebody to bounce off your ideas. You know, as you create your plot, you can verbally, because we text and communicate back and forth all the time, and you have somebody to bounce those ideas off, which that kind of makes the process fun. So y'all know the mindset. If you want a traditional contract, you have to go today still where the agents and editors are. That means your money is going to be spent on a conference where you practice on your pitch. You're going to have your one-liner. You're going to know your story backwards and forwards, and preferably in this day and age, I recommend you have it written because people want it fast. They want a quick turnaround. They want a rapid release. But you're going to have to go where the agents and editors are. Twitter, they have special My Pitch hashtags, which that's kind of cool. You can, there's all kinds of opportunities you can do. If you want to be an indie author, I recommend you learn the business because the business is changing faster than we can keep up with it. But there are opportunities out there, and it is fun to hold that book in your hand. So, you know, my children's books, there's no way that a traditional publisher would have picked up my work. I did have a New York City agent for 7 years. I was writing cute little westerns set in historical West, and about the time that Hunger Games came out. So, unless I had a battle with kids, rumbling and killing each other, they weren't going to go that way. And they said, well, could you make the sheriff of your town a werewolf? Because then New York City kids would relate better to your books. And I'm like, what about the whole middle America?
Yeah.
So I didn't change it, but I appreciate the feedback. I learned a lot from that experience. But I just, decided I want to stick with Westerns. And so a hybrid author, that is the one you can do both. You can have a traditional contract and you can put it out yourself. Learn the biz. There are tons of great podcasts. I recommend the Self-Publishing Show. Six Figure Authors is good. Registered Writers, he's from Oklahoma. Book Marketing Mentors is good. And then I did sign up for Mark Dawson's Self-Publishing 101 course, which it is an investment, but it's an investment in your writing career. And you can get a membership. You don't have to finish it. You can, when I get to a point where I'm like, oh, how can I use Instagram? I go watch the videos about Instagram for authors. Or if I want to do a launch, I watch the video. So that is a really good course. And then also 20 Books to 50K has a really great Facebook group that you can join. And we'll talk more about 20 Books to 50K later. So here's my series, the Wild Cow Ranch series. It's published by CKN Christian Publishers, which is an imprint of Wolfpack Publishers. And I met Denise at Western Writers of America conference, and she was a professional editor by trade, and she kind of invited me to Georgia to talk to the writers group there, and we got to talking, and she kind of had an idea for a book, and I had an idea for a book, but I needed somebody who knew horses, and she had shown horses for many, many years. And I knew the cattle part, and so we decided to combine our efforts, and we pitched it at a Western Writers. CKN was brand new, and so Christian publishing is different than what it used to be. Used to, you had those tropes that you had to hit. You had to have redemption, you had to have a come to Jesus meeting. And now Christian mainly means sweet and clean. There's no cussing, there's no violence. You don't have to have the Christian elements that they used to. And so it was a new imprint, and we pitched it, and anyway, that was fun. Away we went. Decided we'd give it a whirl. And also, at that time, last year, I released 7 books last year. growing. So here is an example of what's out there and what's available to you. I just suggest you be open-minded to anything and everything as far as a creative mind. So I had this great idea for a ranch book because I wanted to combine my photography and the history of the Texas ranches, which is in our area, and then I wanted to add a few recipes because our ranch cook is just phenomenal, and she's been married to a cowboy forever, and she makes the best food that you can ever taste. I wanted to put her recipes. So I pitched it at the Western Writers of America conference, and the editor looks at me and goes, "Nobody's going to buy that book." And I said, "Okay." She goes, "Where is the bookstore going to put it is the main problem." She said, "You're not a professional photographer, so it can't go in the coffee table book section. It's not a cookbook, so it can't go in the cookbook section because you're going to have history and ranches. You can't put it in the nonfiction Texas section because it's got recipes in it." She's like, "There's too much going on in that book." And I understood perfectly what she said. And I said, "Well, thank you for my time. Here's my card." And I stood up, turned around, and she goes, "What about chuck wagons?" And I went, "Chuck wagons?" And she goes, "What about the book about chuck wagons?" I said, "Well, Charles Goodnight invented the chuck wagon. I've been to his ranch. I've been to his house several times." And she said, "Send me a proposal." And that's how this came about. So this was a year and a half of research. And it was just, honestly, because I wasn't really bummed out about my book that she didn't like it. I was like, when she said, "What about chuck wagons?" I was like, "Oh, what about chuck wagons?" So you know what I'm saying about this day and age and creativity and your mind and all the possibilities that are out there, because it is a phenomenal opportunity. So yes, this book has my photographs. This book has history of the cow trails, and this book has all the things that I wanted, but the theme is chuck wagons. And this has been a real fun project to do. And it hit number 1 in new releases under the ebook and the print book. Both hit the number 1 list. And then it was a number 1 new release. Oh, that cut off. I think it was American West Cooking. So, our Wild Cow Ranch series hit the number 1 new release under several categories. I don't remember if I have a slide on that, but I took a real quick dash to the bathroom and came back and it was number 8. So I'm telling you to watch your launches, plan your launches for your books. If there's anything that exciting happens on Amazon top 25, if you make the top 100, that's a big deal. Take a screenshot. That's a big deal when you hit those lists on Amazon. Take a screenshot of it and use it in your promotion. So my other books are children's books, and just on the theme of Age of Creation, that middle book, Taz, that photograph was taken by the owner's cell phone, on her cell phone, and we made a book cover out of it. So, and then the others I had done, and I also did an activity book, which was kind of fun, which I did an activity book. How crazy is that? I had the kid who was working for me, he was a part-time college student. I said, "Can you make me up some puzzles?" And he was like, "Sure." So that was, I gave him an assignment. And he did some puzzles. And then we just did an 8.5 by 11, very common, made a PDF of it, uploaded to Amazon, and he designed the cover for me. Because I'm just saying, look at the things you can do. All right, so we did have a high concept for our series, and y'all know which is imperative if you're going to pitch it to a traditional publisher. And y'all know a high concept is built around a unique what-if premise that can be pitched in 1 to 3 sentences. Practice your high concepts. When somebody says, "What do you write?" that's a good way to practice your high concepts. Because whether you do it, if you're doing self-publishing, that's going to be your blurb on the back of your book. That's going to be the thing that you use to tell people about your book. If you're pitching at a conference, that's what you're going to tell everybody that your book's about. So ours was a Georgia girl inherits a Texas cattle ranch from a grandfather she didn't know. So that was our high concept. Denise lives in Georgia. I live in Texas. And what a great contrast in that book one of this girl moves from the beautiful forests and woodlands, rivers and streams of Georgia to the barren Texas panhandle of dirt and no trees and grass. So that was kind of our high concept, the problems that she looks like. And with that was easy to take and make it into 6 books. So our books with our publisher, he uses Kindle Unlimited, and y'all know what that is. It's a subscription lending library, so you pay one rate, and then they have an estimated 3 million subscribers. That's compared to 113 million on Spotify, 158 million on Netflix, but y'all know who has Kindle Unlimited. So you pay one fee, and so that is what he does. Our books are only Kindle Unlimited. If you make them available as an ebook on Kindle Unlimited, you cannot go wide. They're not sold anywhere else. They're just sold on Amazon, and that's his business plan. And so how authors get paid, yes, they're free to Kindle Unlimited subscribers, but authors get a percentage of pages read. It's like a very small something. And so that's how authors make their money. But what you do is you build up that fan base, and that's what Denise and I are trying to do is, we got to build that fan base up. Because it's a new writing team. I have written children's books before, and it's taken us a while, but we're still working on it. So 20 books to 50K is a general business model of when you go all into Kindle Unlimited. And they have a website and a Facebook group, which is interesting. If you're thinking about going indie, I would learn this and read. This is just another business plan. There's so many options out there. So you can do it several ways. You have one name, one genre, and you have a specific author brand. You're all into Amazon. Everything's on an ebook. Or you can go wide and multiple genres, multiple pen names. So it's just interesting, all the opportunities. So our branding, obviously you can see our branding. And so what I did is I decided to go all in with the Western theme. My blogs, my nonfiction book, and I hope to be pitching some more nonfiction books based on this topic, my children's books. I decided to go all in for that Western theme because it's less confusing for the reader. However, this is a perfect example of author branding if it's confusing to you. You have Nora Roberts and J.D. Robb. Do you see? Is that not brilliant? Her pictures are even different. You have a green pasture, a flowery scarf for her romance, and then you have black leather glasses, or sunglasses, black leather jacket for her serial killer romance. That is a perfect example. Oh, it's not romance, serial killer. There's a little red romance. Just that is a perfect example of author branding. So you see how and then it's easy because then all your social media, your Twitter, your Facebook, your website, all of your posts on social media, you have that author branding in the back of your head all the time. And then your readers know what they can expect. But I have to say, our publisher did a great job with advertising on these because we had a lot of readers and people that we knew personally, but they would email us and say, I didn't know I liked cow stories or cattle ranches or Texas or, you know. So it's good when you read something different. Okay, everyone knows about hashtags. Here is something that a romance author told me, a very prolific romance author. On her phone, in her notes, she keeps her hashtags. And so these hashtags and keywords are crucial to your books and to your social media posts, to everything you do. Because you're going to use these are your keywords in Amazon. These are your keywords on your Twitter posts and your Instagram. Facebook does not use hashtags. Hashtags don't propel posts in Facebook. But, and so she has different categories. So if I do a book promo, then it's a bookstagram. Hashtag bookstagram. But on Twitter, you would use Anne-Marie because Twitter doesn't have a bookstagram. But a bookstagram, you can follow these hashtags. Like on Instagram, you can follow bookstagram. And these are people that review books, and they take the most beautiful pictures and stage pictures of the book they're reading, and it's just amazing. Publishers and authors. And so then I have a book promotion just for the Christian readers. And then I have ranch work and lifestyle, so if I post a picture of the cowboys or the horses or something like that. And then I also have a landscape, you know, like a sunset, sunrise. Then I'll post pictures about that. And I have had some of my posts, I should have added the slide. I've had some of my posts picked up by magazines. I've had 2 Instagram posts picked up in ranching magazines. And they just contact you, private message you on Twitter and say, hey, can we reprint your post? And you give credit, they'll put your hashtag, you know, hashtag cows or whatever. And I've had that. So these hashtags are very powerful content. Can be very powerful content for you. So you can follow a hashtag. Just one or several. Whatever you're interested in, you can follow those hashtags and that'll appear in your feed. And then I have an author biz. So today, when I post on Instagram about y'all, I will add, you know, Caprock Writers, hashtag Lubbock, Texas. So you think about where you're at, and you know, who knows? You never know where it goes. It's like you just have, you know, you basically have no control over your promotion, so you might as well just have fun and do whatever. Because you don't have any control of where it's going. Okay, so how do you search for keywords? I don't know if y'all talked about this. Is anybody familiar with incognito mode on your computer? You right-click you hover over your browser, right-click, and you're going to get an incognito mode, and I have a slide I'll show you. But then when you're thinking about promoting your work and your author hooks and your branding, you want to think about the topics and themes that go with your work, important locations, time periods, the tone, the writing style. All of these things can be key to propelling your work and getting attention. Genre, the format. So you're going to right click and it's going to say a new incognito window, and then you've gone to incognito. What that means is when you go to Amazon to research books and look at covers and keywords in your genre, your buying habits are not going to have any influence on those searches. Because when you go to Amazon, Facebook, or if you search something on Amazon, they're going to look at what you bought before, similar to what you bought, so all of that code that's in the top line, that is all of the codes and all of the stuff they keep about you. So when you search in incognito mode, it's clean. It's a clean slate. They're not keeping track of what you bought before, what you look at, who you are. And so that's where you get your keywords, is Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and study the books in your genre. And that's what, they did. We didn't want people on our cover. We wanted, I had taken a picture of my ranch, at the ranch of one of our cowgirls with the sunrise and the horse. And so I think they did a fantastic job of carrying our brand through all 6 of them. So social media, I would say do what you're comfortable with. If you don't like Twitter and it makes no sense to you, don't try to tweet. Because it's, but if you love it like I do, I like the social media part better. I like the promotion. Do what you're comfortable with and have fun with it. And so basically what I've done is my home base is my website. So everything I do hopefully brings people back to the website. And so if you haven't already, you go to Author Central on Amazon. Does everybody have their author page set up? It's free. You can link your blog to it. That's a huge deal. There's so many authors that don't have their page set up on. You can have a free Facebook page. Amazon has a free author page. And so anyway, there's all the different. I do an e-newsletter under MailChimp, and then so what's next for me is I'm going to try to do a book funnel and a free short story. So we'll see how that goes. All right, co-authoring, the good and the bad. There are 2 creative brains, and that's good because it's good because we can bounce ideas out off of each other. It's bad because I don't know where she's going. She doesn't know where I'm going. Because as a writer, you have that story in your head. You have that ending. And so it was, sometimes she would throw a kink in it, sometimes I would throw a kink in it. She's like, who's this character? I don't know this character. And she threw a puppy one time in a scene. I'm like, they have a puppy? It just, but that's fun. We did not do a term of agreement. If our books are made into a Hallmark movie, we probably ought to do terms of agreement. But we just agreed to split everything 50-50. As far, we just agreed to do the workload as best we could. She had some health issues, and so I picked up on some of this. Then I had to be gone for some and had some, tax season and stuff at my day job. She picked up the slack, and that's kind of how we split everything. The deadlines and workflow, of course, were set by the publisher, and then we knew how many words we had to get at what point. A spreadsheet, Denise loves spreadsheets. She loves the chapter and the time and what's going on in each chapter. And so, and me, I'm an old school. I have a poster board on the wall and I put sticky notes. This is a scene. And I like Scrivener, she likes Word. So we work through all those issues. The story and editing is a priority, I think, and of course, communication and work ethic. She puts work ethic as the most important because we depended on each other and we trusted each other to get the words done and to get the story done. She does the end since her job was a professional editor. She cleans the manuscript up at the back, and then I do all the social media, the graphics and designs and stuff like that. So before we turn it in, she's the last one that sees it, goes through, makes sure the chapter numbers are good. We have a big clean manuscript because she's really good at she's an eagle eye for that. And then our resources are all different. So book 1, we used Dropbox, and book 1 was a chapter by chapter. She would do a chapter, I would add my edits, we name it chapter 1 Nat, chapter 1 Denise, chapter 1.1 Nat, chapter 1.2 Denise. It's like, oh my gosh, that was such a nightmare to write that book. But it's a solid story, and we knew our characters backwards and forwards by the time we were at the end. She liked photos of the characters. She wanted to see them in her head. I was more a description. So she posted photos on our Dropbox of the characters, what she thought they looked like. And interestingly enough, we always agreed. When she'd say, I think she looks like this, I was always in agreement. So we were kind of always on the same page from the beginning, and that made it easy. And then in book two was, Wild Cow Winter, because I had the idea, I wanted a girl power, she gets caught in a snowstorm in the Texas Panhandle, and so I kind of took the lead on that because Denise wasn't familiar with wind and snow in the Texas Panhandle, so I took the lead on that, and that was a fun one. And we did by scenes. That time, it's trying to keep track of the chapter numbers, we wrote by scene. What happens next, what happens, and then we divided the chapters at the end. So that worked out good. And book 3, Denise took the lead, Follow the Wild Heart, because she, for some reason, she made up this family, a neighboring family, the Olsons, and she wanted the son to be an artist, and she wanted to bring in some of the things that she loves about Western art, and so we made him an artist, and she took the lead on his point of view. And so that's kind of how we did. We just, what fell through the cracks? What do you feel strongly about? He was kind of talking to her. And it worked out great, and even better, the family that she made up, the Olsons, that is the family in our new series. So serendipity, they were like, we don't want you to keep writing books in this series. Do you have anything new? And that's when we're like, oh yeah, the neighbors. There's neighbors. So that's kind of how we split the work up. We still use Dropbox. And then in our Dropbox folders, I just want to give y'all an idea. So of course we have each book. And so each folder by the book's name has all of the different versions. And we feel like we lost some stuff between her version and my version and getting everything into the final. There was just too much going on, but it was 70,000 words. And so we have the promo pics. So that is anything I create with Ripple or Canva is what I use a lot. Then I will save them to that file on Dropbox so she can access them too. So she can post them if she wants to. And then we have the reference pics and research. So I put a whole bunch of pictures for her of the sky and the cows. And she wrote these books without ever seeing Texas. She finally came to Texas about a month ago and saw the Texas Panhandle. And then profiles, we did extensive profiles just because we're old and we can't remember does he have brown eyes or green eyes. And so we would do a profile on each character and we put it on Dropbox so we both could access it. And you know what? That was one mistake. We should have been absolutely committed to that process at the very beginning. Because I had little hand notes. If I created a new character, I would scribble it on a sticky note on the wall. We should have done a document and put it in a Dropbox. Because when you get to 6 books, you've got a lot of minor characters going on. And then all the names that you have to think of. And if we would have started that in book 1 about, the descriptions of the people and adamant about who does what, but as it is, they were like, would y'all be interested in writing 3 more? And we were like, oh no. Who were all the people in the first 3? So we need to go back and make some notes. And then I have other, like I did a town plat, and just other little information where it's not just on my hard drive, because she needs to access it too. This was the most wonderful time saver ever. And I got this is just an alpha, just a grid with the alphabet based on first names and last names, but I did it by first name alphabet. And I got this from Debbie McCumber. When she spoke Panhandle Professional Writers is what we're called then. Oh. It was like, about 15 years ago. She was in Amarillo, and this was a handout, and it just was an alphabetic grid, and that's how she keeps track. She was writing that whole series on the coast, that little town, I can't remember the name of it, but y'all know what I'm talking about. She writes romance. But anyway, either, and we should have been adamant to keep that. So that's what if you do a series, if you write with a co-writer, just be very disciplined in keeping your notes and the people you create. Because you never know where it's going to go. You know, we could have stopped at 3 if we'd have had all our notes. We had to do some extra work before we could write the next 3.
Have you ever had any disagreements on, like, something that maybe one of you wrote that the other doesn't agree with or like, or?
Yes, we try to talk it out. Because we try to compromise, you know, like, kind of mainly character reactions. You know, like, I think she would do this. And Denise is like, no, I think she'd do more this way. You know, it's like, because they're real people to us. So it's like, why? What motivates that character? Well, you know, who was her dad? What her dad did? You know, so yeah, we did that. We did not do that in the last 2 books of and so here I do have it. See, look, Maverick Heart #1 in Family and Inspirational Spirituality, but it was #1 in one of the romance categories, and that's the one I didn't get the screenshot. And so then we got a top rated listing for the paperback on Amazon. So that was kind of cool. It was top rated, and I got a screenshot of that. So I'm just saying, get your screenshots. Let me show you this. One of the authors, see that #2 book, Liz Isaacson? She's in the top slots in all of our categories that we were. And I discovered that she is an indie author, and she is also Elena Johnson. And she has some books out on writing the marketing systems and writing rapid release. That's her business plan. She is a speaker at 20 books to 50K in Vegas a lot. And these books are really good. She writes a book like every 14 days. Her power comes in her newsletter and she cross-promotes all of her series. She hits all the tropes that romance readers love. And, if you're wanting to learn how to write faster, because we got an opportunity to write 3 more books, and Denise are like, we got to write faster. We got to be more efficient. We got to work together better. And so her books are really good, and she has a good Facebook group too. So the next 3 books, we still use Dropbox, and we get a snag because our editor left. And so we had a new editor come in mid of the 3 books. And our timetable was weird. So we did scene by scene on book 4 again. Cowgirls and Rustlers. I want to do a women power where the 2 girls get together and fight cattle rustlers, and that was a fun book. It doesn't have many Christian elements, but it has kind of a little violence, but not much. So that was kind of fun. And so that was different. And then we did a wild cow wedding, and once again, Denise liked her spreadsheet. I like my poster board. And we kind of flipped the wedding trope. And it may be those romance writers, the whale readers, may not really like our series because the 2 main characters didn't go to the wedding. They eloped, and it's 2 other people that went to the wedding. So we kind of twisted. What isn't your usual romance trope that romance readers like? They like the same story. But we kind of twisted that up. And then the publisher wanted a Christmas book. And so the problem with last books is we had a month to write each book. And it was during we were home, and my husband was at the ranch doing ranch stuff. I was home by myself, and I completely immersed myself in the story. I didn't have anybody to cook for and all that, and that was the weirdest experience. Because I'd wake up thinking of the story, I'd go all day, I'd write again that night, and we cranked those last two books out. It was just like, it was weird. It was like an out-of-body experience. It's like I gave up reality and just lived in that story. And we were about halfway through words on book 6. I'm like, it's not coming together. We don't have an antagonist. And I went to a writer's retreat, and we took pages, and I read the first few chapters, and one of the writers said, does your main character have an ex-girlfriend? And I'm like, oh, how simple is that? That's why writers groups like this are crucial to your creativity. Because sometimes they can think outside the box for you. If you're so immersed in your story, run your ideas by these people. These people are brilliant here in this room. They will see things and think of things that you might not. And so that author, she was like, ex-girlfriend, like, there's my antagonist. So I went home, and that story, that character just spoke to me, and I was cranking out probably 3,000 words a day just on that character's scenes, because I was in the zone. It was fun. It was a fun process. So we got that done. Wild Cow Christmas, that was a fun one. So we had all six done, and then we were like, we are never going to do this again. She's like, this is too hard. This was too hard of a work, particularly that 1 month for each book. I don't know how those people crank them out so fast, those rapid release. They're hard. But then I wanted to know how to write faster, write better. And so Romancing the Beat is just line by line, and it can be used for any book. It's just a line by line outline of what you need. Like for the first 25% of the book, this happens. You have a main character point of view, the hero, the heroine. It's just like it's a short book, and also 3-story method. So I was always looking for ways. How can we write faster? How can we do better? Because you know what? You can't. The days are gone where you write one book every year, because those readers want that link. They want to buy that book. They loved your work. There's the link right there in the back of their ebook, and they're on to your next book. They want to read when they want it. All right, and then our publisher decided they're going to do a box set starting in April, and they're going to do all 6 of our Wild Cow Ranch books into for $9.99, which is great, and offer it to Kindle Unlimited. And we were like, well, that cover, Texas does not have mountains or barns like that, or bush trees like that. But they did a study. They studied K-lytics, is what it's called. And apparently books with real people on them sell more than books with artistic covers. So they're going to try it. So they put the box set, which it really doesn't match our branding, but you know what? They studied it. They know what sells, and I trust our publisher to do what's best for us. Thought that's interesting. And then what's next is I'm going to try to do a book funnel. We're going to try to do an email through book funnel and a free story, and KJ designed that cover for us. So she does great work. We loved the one she did with the boy, because it's about cowboys and they're rodeo cowboys. It's kind of introducing all of the male characters in our whole series, for both series. We brought the families together, the boys, they're all rodeo cowboys. And she did a great cover, and my husband, I said, look, I love this. And he went, the guy looks 12. And for romance readers, that's kind of creepy. He's like, so, you need that male perspective. And I still love that cover. And so anyway, we're going to try a book funnel. And then my new gig lately is Window in a Wider World, which has been fun. That's arts. They take arts to the schools in the Texas Panhandle, and I'm the writer. And I talked to over 3,000 kids last year, first year. We wrote stories, we built, and that has been a huge opportunity, and that's been fun. So, you know, you just never know what comes up, what's going on. You just be prepared for anything in this day and age. All right, question.
Can you tell me what book funnel is? I'm not sure everyone knows.
Oh, yes, and you can help me. It is a service. It's an aggregate, really. If you want to give a free book to somebody or send a book to somebody and they want it on their phone, or they want it on their Kindle, or they want it as a PDF on their computer. People read in so many different ways. Book funnel gets your product to the people, and you don't have to deal with mechanics.
Yeah, you could do like the first several chapters to kind of tease people into it. People sign up and you get their email address in exchange, so that if you're doing a newsletter, so it's a way to build your newsletter. Also to give them a sample of the work, so if they love it, then they jump right in. You can buy links at the back of it so that they can go straight to Amazon and buy that full book or whatever.
Right. It's just a way of building that email list and getting another way of getting your word out. It doesn't also give you opportunities to participate in things.
Yes, authors can set up like a genre-based sci-fi, fantasy, female strong lead book, and then everyone that wants to have a free book or a sample in that can sign up for those. So there's tons of opportunities.
So I'm excited. I'm going to learn that next.
Yeah, it's a great way to build your following and
Yeah.
newsletter lists.
It's expensive too.
It is?
Yeah, it's expensive.
Oh, that's right, it is. It's like
$10.
10 bucks a month or something? Yeah.
And their customer service is great, so if you, so you're not the one who's trying to talk somebody out through the process of downloading your book to their Kindle. They handle all that, and they're really great. They're really good.
And there's so many ways too. People read in so many different ways these days. It's amazing. And iPhone claims, I don't know, billions, that they've sold billions of iPhones.
It's on sale with me, so.
And that's where people are reading. So anyway,
It's pretty.
Are you taking questions?
questions, yeah.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Hey, I've got one. I'm curious. So if you were going to involve a store, would you say something like Tractor Supply, or would you say a local tack and hardware feed store? How do you handle that?
There's different schools of thought on that. Like our contract we signed with our publisher said we will not use any real names of any places, any names. Now, supposedly, if it's a public place like Paladar Canyon State Park, you can use that. But they recommend us not to use names. So we changed everything.
Thank you.
Anybody else have thoughts on that? About using real names? Anybody? Y'all jump in if you have something to say.
I just want to say, I had another friend of mine who wrote with a friend of hers, and they were best friends, and they became bitter enemies at one point because they didn't write up a contract. They didn't think to do that. So 2 years ago, I wrote up a contract for a friend of mine so that we could write together. And I got the contract off of Writers Guild, and it's just a basic agreement, and I kind of modified it for us. But I go through a 12-step, but I wrote all the scenes, 12 segments with scenes in each one, and since I did that, I said up front, I get 10% for coming up with the plot and the scenes. I will tell you which ones, but it's all spelled out, but it was good. But if you're going to lunch, I want you to look at this and tell me what all maybe you could see that needs to be in it. But I think that because it's real important for me to stay friends with my friends. I don't want to ever have an enemy, and my friend passed away last month. And, it's just been devastating. We did get the book written, but it now comes to me to edit, which is always a lot of work to it. But, I did put a clause in there because I knew her health was bad, that if we ever get any compensation, we may be one of those nonprofit organizations who never gets any profit, but that her sons would be included in what would be her percentage.
That's very wise.
Yeah,
in hindsight, maybe we should have looked at that, but,
Yeah.
you know, you never think, you just think, oh, it's a little book. You know, they're just gonna write a little story and put it out. But, yeah, I would love to look at
Oh,
that. Any other questions? Oh, yes.
I have a question. How long are your stories?
65 to 70,000 words.
How many?
65 to 70,000.
Oh, ooh, in a month.
Yes. And I don't know
How many pages do you get the day?
I don't know. I was in a total brain fog.
Oh, God.
I just wrote. And Denise was just coming along behind me editing.
Oh, wow.
We were just like, she was, you know, I said, we're going to make this deadline. We're going to make this deadline. But, you know, there are authors that do that crank those out. You know, they have in 14 days. That is unbelievable to me. And those books I recommended, she goes into her process exactly. How many words she's got to do a day to reach that. And then the rapid release. Rapid release, does everybody know what that is? That is like a book a month, or a book every 6 weeks.
So did you feel like a kind of creativity hangover after that?
Yes.
Like, did it take you a while?
Yes, it absolutely did. About 3 months. And I had so many projects in the wings that I wanted to do, and I was like a vegetable. I just stared at the TV. I mean, you know, it was terrible. So I decided I can't do that. I can't.
There's a trade-off there. It's like,
It is.
you empty that well fast. You know,
It
the
is.
size of your well doesn't change. It's like, you empty that fast or you empty it slow. Yeah.
It's intense.
How do you manage your time to write as much as you do and still do your social media?
I do have a day job. I have 2 sons that are grown, but I got in the habit of just writing whenever and wherever. And I just started that early when the kids were little. And I first started writing when my youngest was 2. And I just, you know, I used to print off pages and carry them in my purse. If I was going to be waiting on him at a school event, I was editing pages. And I just got fanatical about it, basically. I just, you know, if I had 30 minutes here, I'm going to write a few lines if I had. But I'm ready to move to something new. I've hired somebody to take my day job. She starts Monday. And I'm going to do this full time because the promotion has turned into a huge thing. And so now I'm to the point where I don't feel I'm effective anywhere. You know what I mean? But I never could get up early. But I was writing. I was getting my husband out the door, and then I'd write from 8 o'clock, and then get to the office by 10. And so I said I got a publishing contract, and I got this book, and I showed him, and he was like, "When did you write that?" I went, "From 8 to 10 every morning." I said, "I wasn't just laying in bed. I got to the office at 10 for a reason. I was writing, so that's when I usually do it. And then evenings, I don't know. Who likes to write in the evenings? Some of y'all do. And the rest of y'all are morning writers. And lunch, I wrote one of my children's books every day at lunch for an hour. I mean, it's amazing what you can do if you take those little segments of time that you have. And your brain is ready. You know, if it gets to that time, your brain is ready to go.
What happened to the puppy?
You know what? The puppy came and we had adventures, got lost, and then we forgot about the puppy. That's such a frenzy. So we got these done, and I'm like, what about the puppy? We forgot to put the puppy in. And so that's another thing. You gotta bring those threads through. And when you're writing a book that fast,
They're easy to drop.
it's hard.
I have to go back and put in the dogs and the everything.
The parent, no, Thank
I
you.
know, Karen.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have, so you're gonna have more time now, right? Are you gonna stick with these? Do you have other things planned?
Yes, I have we're going to write 3 more of the new family, and I have 2 children's books I want to do, and then I have some nonfiction associated. I have a year and a half of research for Chuck Wagons, and I thought, man, why can't I put that research into something else?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to pitch a few of those options. Yeah, because I've had, you know how research is. You have to have, you only use 1% of it. So yeah, I'm excited. There's still lots of opportunity out there. So I'm just going to keep going. Yeah.
You didn't mention your oil people book.
My oil people, yeah,
You wrote a book about oil.
Yeah, that was the very first book I self-published, and it's still going and going. Schools like that. It has, it's based on my husband as a petroleum geologist, what he does in his job. How do you find oil? You know, how do you, it's not politically leaning one way or the other. It was just the facts. And schools like that has a vocabulary in it. So that's been a fun project too.
And your Chuck Wagon book is so professional.
Oh, thank
It
you.
really is.
Yeah, I have one. Thank you. That was fun. That was the editor changed in the midstream of that, and then when they closed for COVID, laid off everybody apparently, brought everybody back, and it was cut by 100 pages from when I first sold it to the end product. But it's still pretty.
It is.
It's
and
fun.
so full of information.
And we're getting
It's
really.
a great research book.
Thank you. It's been fun. Been fun selling that because cross promotion. People don't come to book signings very often. You know, they just don't. And you can advertise, but if you can link your book to another theme or another retail store or another event. So I've been invited to all the Chuck Wagon cook-offs. And so that's where I go to sell that book. So, you know, think outside the box. Get with a group, some other group of authors, and cross-promote, boost. If you have an event, boost it on Facebook for $10. And you can target your town or target the town you're going to be in. Take a couple of friends with you. If you can ask the retail store, do you have a big Easter sale? Or do you have a big, July 4th something? Can I set up books? Can I sell some books at your event? And everybody is very receptive. And usually that's what I say. When's the best time? When do you want me there? When can I just be accommodating? And because they're the retail store, they know when their customers shop. Like for Burrowing Out, just before Mother's Day, I got some, we're going to do a thing at Burrowing Out. I got some little ribbon at Sam's. And so I'm going to offer free ribbon gift wrap. And Burrowing Out says, you know what? There's only a certain window when everybody's out. And so she wants me at 12, from 12 to 1 in Canyon. And I'm going to head up to Amarillo. She wants me 1 to 2 or something, 1 to 2 in Amarillo. She said there's that window when everybody shops. So we'll see how that works. And that's when she wanted me. So, ask the retail stores there for ideas. Just ask around, go to your library. I'm an author. What can I do to sell books? How can I meet readers groups, book clubs? Everybody's really helpful with ideas. All right, my time done.
Thank you, Natalie. That was really interesting. You covered so much in there. I know people probably have questions about all the little promotion sites and everything. Google is a great place to learn more. There's a lot of people in this room that know about that. Kim, Linda, myself, Steve is great with the 20 books to 50K, knows a lot about that. So ask around. That's why we're here. We wanted to gather people and have you get some help on what you're looking for. Just the reminders. Critique group is on Monday here at 7 p.m. Our next meeting is May 14th. Art Festival is April 9th and 10th at the Civic Center. Come find our booth. We're going to have the raffles and authors selling some books. We have Jody Thomas will be there on Sunday. Jody and Linda put a book together and they're signing together. What time are you going to be there? From like 2 to 5 or?
From noon to 5.
Noon to 5, you can meet Jody Thomas and Linda and then you get some of the books that they've written together.
When is that?
That's April 9th and 10th.
Next weekend.
Next weekend at the Civic Center. And then the book festival, look for Literacy Lubbock or Lubbock Book Festival. You can search that. I meant to put a link, well, I forgot last time, but it's not until October. You still have time, but look and see if you can get a booth for that. And Kim, you're going to do a little something else. So I'm going to pass the mic to Kim. And if I can leave my germs off, I would, but I don't know where my little...
Last year, we ended every meeting with celebrations, and then we kind of forgot about it. So we decided we need to start that again. So if you have a new book release, or if you have a new, I don't know, a good review, or you made a list, or you finished your book, or anything, y'all, it's time to celebrate, and we will celebrate with you. So who wants to go first? Yes.
I thought of something. For the new series, we have decided to try Google Docs instead of well, we're going to still use Dropbox, but Google Docs because we can both type simultaneously. And so that's kind of a new adventure. It's fun to learn something new, I guess. What's it called? Google Docs.
These are ways to keep our brain young.
So if anybody knows anything about it, see me.
You Google Docs? You need help with it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's anyway. That's so that's my thing this year. I'm going to try something.
Excellent. Keeps your brain young. You learn new stuff. All right, who else?
I'm Betsy Bass. This is my first meeting. My friend Kim invited me to come. I just published a poetry book, March 1st. It's available on Amazon. It's self-publishing, but with an editor in Spokane, and we met once a month. And it's called Spirited Poems for Spirited People. The artwork on the book is mine. I use Google Docs. I can talk to you about that. And I won't give you the whole story, but Wildmark Books is going to carry it for me as well. She's the one that's coming to your meeting, I think, next month. And I had kind of a spiritual awakening and downloaded 104 poems in 34 days. So I woke up in the middle of the night writing. And then this particular book has 7 categories and has 7 poems in each category. So it's pretty exciting, and I didn't even know what was going to happen. So
That's awesome.
Great reviews on this.
April is poetry month, so perfect.
It's awesome.
I finished the book.
I finished the book.
What kind of book?
Cozy Mystery.
Cozy Mystery. Cozy Mystery TV. All right. I think someone else released a book, right? Did you release it? Did you have a book?
Yes.
My new book came out Tuesday, and it's called A Man of Legend, and I'm really happy about that.
Actually, they can hear me here, so if you can hear me, it's good.
Okay.
I finished the sequel to Amber. It's called Azure. It now has to be edited, but yeah, it's finished. Yay!
I have seen the cover too. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's great. Anybody else?
Oh, I don't need the mic. Okay. I signed a book publishing agreement with Wildmark Books, so she's going to help me self-publish, and I'm excited.
Excellent. Excellent.
Awesome.
You can see? Yes. That's exciting. I'm so glad that you guys are here, and she's going to be here next month.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she is. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank y'all for sharing
Is
that.
she
That's
going to sell
exciting.
her books?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, are you
She's
gonna
too
say-
shy to say.
Oh, yes, I do have
Copy.
several, if anybody's interested. And brochures and my business card, please take one, and bookmarks, and pick up one of these. These are free from the Western Writers of America. If you like history, you don't have to be a member to get the magazine. And they're, it's a great magazine. And these are free.
Yeah, she's got a bunch of pens. And we still have food, so no one leaves until that stuff is gone. And I want you to talk to everyone in this room. There's a lot of new people. Don't feel like you're the only new person. Mingle, meet other people. We're here to help each other. And it would be kind of cool if we could get a picture with Natalie and all of us in this corner over here before we all leave. So if you all don't mind getting close and cozy, let's kind of meet over. Oh, she got her jug. Yeah, this corner's lit up. Okay, so let's meet over here. Get a picture.